Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion. Happy Friday to you. Today being Friday is Community Day, kind of. So, as I did last week, I'm going to continue just trying to chip away at this project that I really want done already. I won't be working on the bot, but I still do want to try to pay more attention to the viewers, the chatters, the peoples. And I got a comment on today's video already. A comment? How's that even possible? Something interesting. Open. Do. Just take me here instead. This might work better. Also, or not. Weird. Super weird. Are we sure that's on today's video? Oh, that's not a oh my gosh, I can read. Anyway, hi, welcome in. Today's Friday. For those of you that celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. For those of you that didn't and just had a normal yesterday, I hope it went well. Man. Mic check. Michael, Ryan, Henry. My mic feels a little quieter today for some reason. Hello. Maybe, oh, I know what it is. I put a compressor on it. No, I didn't. Just kidding. No compressor. Whatever. Good morning, Reg 9K. There are 30. Oh, it's 34 outside. Is it? It is, indeed. In the place that we are looking at behind me, it is, who knows what temperature. We're looking out a window in Cali, California, from July. This is video footage from July. How fun. Okay. Good for us. Moving on. So here's my desktop. Here's the app that I've been working on. Well, this is the code for the app that I've been working on. And what I ended on Wednesday. Yeah, what I ended, man, it's so hard because I didn't do work yesterday either. I did decide to take the day off. I didn't have to, but I decided to. So on Wednesday, where we left off was we wrote a test for the get user for the upsert functionality. So I wrote that logic on Tuesday, wrote a test, and was working on trying to get this test to pass on Wednesday. And then I started reorganizing things so that my HTTP requests were all standardized. So now anytime that I create an client-side service implementation, then I have this helper method for do get, do post, do put, do update, do delete. And they pretty much just wrap the request in a try catch. And then have some standard error messages and handling that I put on all of my HTTP requests from the client side. And since it's all repeated code, then I decided to just pull in the extension methods I made in another application into this one. I found it and it's cool. Then the other thing that I started doing was reorganizing my tests so that it makes more sense for the database mock. We talked a little bit about the database mock. I'm using a library called entityframework.tests.mock, and that just allows us to do the testing on functions with the mocked DB context a little bit easier, and it's working well. So what I did this morning is I reworked the seeding functions and the mocking of the seeding functions. And then of course, like, this seems to be where I'm heading. This might not be the final destination that I'm at, but it seems like I'm really wanting to have this kind of sanity check test for testing the tests. And this is more like testing all of the helpers and utilities for the tests. So for example, if I seed a new user template, then we should get back a new user template from the database, from this method, seed user template, with a GUID that is not empty, and it should persist in the in-memory database for a given test if I set it up this way. My boss would not agree to me doing this kind of work. What, testing the tests? Or just writing tests at all? And so I did that for target type and import file. And so an example usage of it is in the new test that I'm writing. No value here and now. What have you been doing all this time? Yeah, seriously. And I have heard things like that before too, at a real job. That's insane. Insane. Right. So the other thing that I did was, oh, I need the interface up here too to make it easier to get to, was I created the method stubs for my get user template methods. So one of them is find user templates based off of a list of fields, and another one is get a specific user template by its GUID. And so I created the stubs for it in my interface. I went ahead and implemented the client side for those two new methods because they're super simple. They're straightforward. Hit this API endpoint and send back the response. But the server side I left unimplemented. So now I have the stubs for it. And so the next thing to do is to write the tests for those two methods. These are integration tests, not unit tests, because they're testing the whole entire thing that has calls to other things and blah, 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 blah. So I let Copilot create them for me. So we're going to review and make sure that it is doing what I'm expecting these types of tests to do. The first method that we are going to implement is the find user templates method, which again, we send it the columns and data types for a file that came in, and then it sends us back, here are templates. Oh, and the current user is logged in. Here are the templates for files that match that structure that this user has created. We're not doing public templates yet, but that will also be in here. So there's that. There is the get user template by ID. This would probably be the easier one to implement first, but I really want this functionality to work. So we're going to do this one first and spend some time doing that. However, again, it's community day. So I do have a Discord voice channel that is ready and waiting for anyone that does want to participate in community day using your voice. You're welcome to. I don't know how much I will be engaged in the conversation, but I'll do my best. And then if you instead don't want to use voice chat and you feel like bringing up topics and conversations, you can still do that using regular chat, text chat in Twitch or YouTube now. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so unless and until someone comes in with a topic or anything, I'm going to continue on with my work product and get as far as I can, as fast as I can. So we're implementing this find user template, but first I'm going to, like I said, review the test. I'm already losing my place. Review the test that Copilot gave us and make sure that it is valid. It is testing what I want it to test. So I do remember doing this myself, because this is when I ended up reorganizing the database helpers for the tests, for doing all of this seeding stuff. So I'm making my own instance of an in-memory DB context for this test. And I am having that DB using that factory to seed the context that is being controlled by that factory to seed a new template into it. So we actually get more than just the GUID back, we get the full template back. The expected GUID. Oh, yeah, this should just be template. Or seeded template, because I mean, I'm not really using it for anything. Oh, wait. Oh man, that's going to be interesting to find out. I do think this is incorrect as far as at least the name of these variables, and my assertions don't feel complete. So I'm seeding the database with one template. And that template is going to be for the import. You know, it'll have the import, one of the import files associated with it, and the current user. Ooh, do I have the test user? Test template, created user. Yep. And this is my valid user that I'm going to use throughout all of the tests. If I ever want a valid user, it will only ever be this one user. And that is a new claims principal with the correct role assigned to it and a name of test user. So that will always be there. What else? Yeah, so then I am creating a new user import template request. So this is doing only the portion of when you select a file, pulling out all of the imported record field descriptors with their name and data type. And we're putting that in our user import template request. That should be the only field that this thing required. And I remember going back and forth on Wednesday between sending in the list of imported record field descriptors only to the database, to this request. But then I wrapped it in an object because I was then needing to send the user, but then I'm like, I want the user to come from the HTTP context, and that's where all of that started. Speaking of, I can show that as well. to review it for myself. And if anyone happens to be interested, then you might tune in for that part. So then I am creating a new, why are you broken up like that? A new service to test. So this is a lab data server service. And I'm providing the DB context factory this time. In that previous one, that was an upsert request. I didn't specify the DB context factory because I couldn't care less if the DB context factory was there or not, because I wanted to test inserting a new set of records. The test for this that I would need to do next, good grief brain. The test for this that I would need to do next is to try upserting an existing template and then try upserting a template where the imported file records exist and make sure that it associates the new template with the imported file that already exists. Oh, that was a mouthful. Yeah, and then this doesn't really matter here because that, yeah, none of this stuff is actually getting tested. So this can be all test data. Whoa. Ow, Anna. I need to turn you down. That was crazy. My goodness. So of course, I'm lurking on other people's channels, and one of the people that I'm lurking on is Anna Sastev, and she had this crazy ducky thing. My boss would have had me working on Thanksgiving too, but I got lazy. Report that on Glassdoor. But President Not Sure was asking what happened. There was a I don't know what exactly happened. She's been working on her bot, and there was a ducky thing, ducky noise, sound alert thing that just went crazy, and it was loud in my ears. I hope he was paying time and a half. Nope, my boss doesn't do that. My boss pays me by the hour, no overtime. I have to pay for my own benefits. Oh man. But I don't know if you heard, on Wednesday I did get my new contract. It was actually a contract extension, but they're changing me over to a 1099 directly with Automated Realms, and it goes through the end of November of next year. So yeah, it was really, really exciting, really cool. Thindal is in the stream waiting room, so I'm pulling you in 3, 2, 1. 10. It's no different than what my current contract is, President Not Sure.
Hello, friends.
Hello. I need to turn you up. Talk again.
Hello.
Turn your head and cough.
Hello. There you go. Good enough? Or better?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, so nothing I'm not used to. The thing that I am looking into doing, President Not Sure, is potentially turning the company into an S Corp instead of a LLC, individual member.
What's the difference there?
So S Corp, the big reason that individuals, small business owners, blah blah blah, make an S Corp is because they can pay themselves a salary. That salary is taxed at a lower rate. Well, because you aren't taking the whole amount that the company makes, you're doing the taxes on the amount that you pay yourself, and then the amount that the company makes after that. So you can take that out of your taxable income for the business. So for example, right now my estimated taxes, quarterly taxes, is a 2-digit number per quarter, and that would go down to maybe a $2,000 to $3,000 per quarter, and then my normal taxes on my salary that I'm paying myself would be lower. Point is, less money in each of the taxable incomes means lower tax bracket, means less taxes paid.
Right. Yeah. So over here we have something called like an individual firm, which is basically just a business license, but still you. So everything the company makes is your money, and you have to pay tax on them as if they were income, basically. And then we have stock company, which would basically be an LLC, I guess, which is its own entity, and you are no longer the LLC, right?
I mean,
I am.
S company. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, so legally, tax-wise,
yeah, and S
corp
like would be the one where the company is its own entity, and then
all right,
my individual salary is taxed as an individual.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the same thing then. I do not believe that you are streaming on Discord.
Right, I forgot to start camera.
That's fine. And it's just that, when I watch on Twitch, I'm always a little bit behind.
And yeah, oh man, the taxes are hard. That's all I gotta say. Yes. US taxes, at least. They are super duper difficult when trying to consider this. So this space that I am in, I measured the space itself, and the only way that I could use it for tax purposes is if the only thing I used the electricity in this space for was business related. Same with the equipment.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here, and we don't look at the electricity. We look at like the room itself. The business area in someone's home has to have individual walls, if that makes sense. You can't have a business area in your living room, for example. It has to be a separate room, and then you get to deduct based on the square footage.
Yeah, it's still square footage for us too, but it doesn't need to be separate. It's just
But that's it's the same thing there. Like the area isn't allowed to be used for anything other than work, because it's now a workplace, right?
Yeah, correct.
On the good side, taxes over here, we're talking about a really fun subject right now, but they're quite easy because the government already knows everything.
And so does ours.
Yeah, but you have to do your taxes, right? Yeah, exactly. And calculate it yourself. And if your calculations don't match up with their calculations, they will come with a big hammer. Over here, we get a paper, and it's like, yeah, do you have anything to say about this? And like everyone's they bring up their phone and they hit their thumb to the phone and like, yeah, I've signed it. I don't care.
Right.
So doing your taxes over here usually takes 5 minutes or something.
Yeah. And here it's like, for us, every quarter it takes a day or two. It's crazy. So President, not sure. I'm trying to read it fully, having trouble understanding all the words. But what I think you are mentioning is, so right now I am a single member LLC, which means I am a disregarded entity, or whatever the term actually is, a pass-through entity, where the business income is treated as my personal income, and I pay taxes on that. So I made W-2 income this year at the beginning of the year. That counts towards the taxes that I pay with my single member LLC. For next year, if I am only doing the contract work, it's going to be a little bit easier because I don't have to factor in W-2 stuff and take out the taxes that they paid. But it's still going to be more expensive unless I decide to go S Corp and pay myself a salary. Then I would pay a much lower, at least it seems like it would be much lower taxes. I think it would just be harder to file.
I mean, an LLC has stocks, right?
I don't
It doesn't
know.
need to be on the stock market, but it has stocks.
Like as a single member LLC, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, over here you have, as I said, like an individual firm or company, and that's basically just a business license. Like legally, you are still signing everything as you. And then the next step up from there is a stock company, which, again, it has stocks. It's not a traded company. I think it's called publicly traded, but it still has stocks.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, automated ROMs. The only thing that I have is that I need to do the monthly earnings statement, or maybe it's a yearly earnings statement. I can't remember how often, but I have a couple
Mine is
of
quarterly.
things that I have to file, and that's about it. It's
Yeah.
very lightweight.
Yeah, mine
and
is
easy.
quarterly, and it's basically VAT. And that's the difference between those, basically. And I mean, the bad thing is that a stock company has a lot more paperwork that needs to be turned in. As an individual firm, it's basically just an extra form on your yearly taxes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so
Again,
much for
fun
shouting out
subject.
Anna.
What are we doing here?
So I'm trying to still do some work on my work product because it needs to be done already. I keep saying that. So the first thing that I did was I wrote some tests for these new methods that I am adding to my service because test-driven development. So this is how they look currently, which is through an unimplemented exception. And we're going to work on implementing this one. But in order to do that, I was looking at the actual test that Copilot wrote for me to make sure that it is what I'm trying to test.
Mm-hmm.
And that's as far as I got so far. Welcome to Old Guys Talking About Taxation.
But yeah, so
Did you just
you're
unfollow and
doing
refollow?
TDD.
Oh, that's someone else. Thank you so much for the follow. But yeah, kind of TDD. I don't want to restrict myself to say that I am doing TDD because then I have like, you know, a whole bunch of stuff that I need to adhere to.
Yeah.
Just like saying that my API is RESTful. It means that
Yeah.
I have to do idempotent. I have to do all of these other things. And it's like,
do you really? Can't you say that parts of your API are RESTful?
then it's REST-ish.
Well, yeah.
Not RESTful.
I think that's what I should probably call mine.
Yeah.
It's REST-ish. So I could basically say that it's tired.
We're going to call our APIs tired. REST-like. Yeah. I like the ish suffix. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of, here is how, because I thought that this was an interesting way to approach this a while ago. Right now, my server-side service is essentially an API, but I'm using fast endpoints so that I can do it in a library kind of way. I could have just went directly to minimal API and set it up in my service extensions, but TBD recommended fast endpoints, so I started using it, and I kind of like it. It's pretty easy.
And they're probably fast as well.
I just don't like creating a whole class for one endpoint, but that's fine. The service itself, though, the service implementation, doesn't have any concept of HTTP context up front because it's just a class library. And so I still needed the ability to get the user on, because I know this is going to be used in an API only. It's going to be used only with these endpoints. I wanted a way to get the user securely and what's the word I'm looking for?
Can't you inject it?
Yeah, exactly. So I am injecting a HTTP context accessor.
All right. Yeah.
And then that is getting used in my base authenticated service class for getting the user from it and getting the claim, the user ID specifically, which I'm going to be using for application lookup purposes. And then, of course, this comes with all of their user claims Oh man. So it was a lot of fun doing that a while ago, and I'm like, I know I did this, and I was looking for it on Wednesday, and I found nothing, and then I finally found it after the stream, pulled it into here, and it's very cool. So I can get user in my services.
Yes, you can just ask for user ID and you have it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, my question to myself, and maybe you, is for my created by column in this database, and hello Snubble, hope you're having a great day. I have these user import templates. The user import templates are associated with a user. Should this be the ID from my user store?
If you want to do
should it
a
be
fully
the
relational
username?
database, yes.
But that's the thing, the user store is a separate database.
Yeah, but even if you want, you can still do a fully relational one. And it's a question of, I mean, the good old thing, the good old example, you change your last name. What happens?
Exactly.
You
Update
quit your
everywhere
job
that
and
has
someone
user.
else with the same name starts working there.
Good thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go more of the document kind of way, then no, then this is correct. You'd probably want some more unique identifier than just your first and last name, but
Right.
yeah, this is more the document approach. And the question here is, will you ever look up from the user object? That makes sense.
In the sense that the user is coming from the the HTTP context successor, which means it's coming from the user store, and that is what I'm using to filter the user templates. So yes, in that sense.
Yeah, so you're filtering based on created by user, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So I do like the idea of using the user ID, don't I?
Yeah.
I'm sure I do.
One upside there is that the indexing will always be better if you have either GUID or a integer, right? Compared to indexing on a string.
Oh, and the cool thing about the database is that you can't have multiple users with the same username, even if one quits and another one starts, because the username is unique, and I do soft deletes on users.
Yeah. All right. So the next one has to be Humberto Cruz 2.
Yeah. Yep.
Or underscore.
I feel like I'm hearing a lot of it works in release debug mode and blows up in the opposite mode these days.
Oh yeah. Snobber sent me a message before where they ran .NET test release, and that gave them an out of memory exception, and .NET test debug just worked. In my mind, I mean, if this would have happened, it should have been the other way around. That debug used too much memory, but nah, really weird.
It's very odd. President Not Sure says beware, don't use string as a primary key. I definitely have a lot of information on how to make sure databases are performant. This one doesn't need to be super duper performant. I'm not dealing with millions of records for this in particular, so it won't be terrible, or millions of users or anything like that. So it's not going to be very bad if I use GUID as a string.
Here's a thing. In my current application, I'm using integers as the key, but strings as foreign keys.
Yeah, that's what this is. Wait, no, I'm not using strings as foreign keys. I'm using the primary key as an integer, and I have an alternate key essentially, because I want the index, or I want the retrieval to be on the primary key all the time, because that's super duper fast for an integer. With a GUID, whenever you're indexing this and you add a new GUID, you might need to have the partition tables all shifted around, because now on this page you're inserting the GUID in alphabetical order and it belongs on this page, which shifts everything down one.
Now, my point is that I don't know what system is on the other side or what kind of repository. Maybe the user repository is, I don't know, text files, right? But as long as I'm in my SQL database, the repository casts everything over to an int before it looks for it based on the primary keys. If you're trying to call into the SQL database, then your foreign keys better be an int. And if not, you'll have to rewrite the repository to support something else. Yep. So that's a way that I like, which means in that case that your created user, or created by user,
Created user, yeah.
Yeah, that can actually be a string. And depending on how it's indexed on the other side, that field could contain a 1, or a GUID, or the name. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a key somewhere else.
Created by is coming from passed in. Aha.
I keep saying it, but I really disliked something in your code there.
The bangs.
And I know I'm not supposed to exactly. I'm not judging. I just really dislike that.
Here's what I need to do.
You're allowing it to return null. And then somewhere else you're saying this will never be null, right?
Specifically for this, well, yeah. Okay. So I do want to do
Could add a null check.
Yeah, I do want to do null checks on this. I definitely do. Because it could be the case that this method is somehow being called by a non-authenticated API request or direct to server request.
Yeah. And in that case, should prepare template record actually be allowed to return anything if it's not authenticated, right?
No. Like, I mean, at that point, I really don't like throwing errors.
No.
That's why I use this response model.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just populate an error message in the response model. It wouldn't say this either. I just can't think right now. I'm just going to let it say that and then early exit. So then by the time we get here. Okay, so we are going to use the user ID for our storing user templates. And
we used to call that response envelope.
Oh, yeah. That sounds right.
It's the same thing.
Bang, bang. But yes, this was definitely an instance where it would have been better for me to do a null check from the beginning. There are times that I'm like, in my test library, you're going to see a lot of null forgiveness operators.
Oh yeah, but in tests,
like,
those don't count.
I'm expecting these to be not null by the time we get here.
Yeah, in tests, it's fine. But in normal code, it's an anti-pattern. But the question is, should you bend over backwards to fix it, or should you just, I will accept this and save 2 hours of work trying to rewrite half of my library to get rid of a bang?
Yeah. Which is pretty easy for mine because I do typically write in the null check verbiage style. I don't know. It was just like because I was writing a lot of tests and using a lot of null forgiveness operators. I'm like, inside of my service that is intended to be used explicitly and specifically with this fast endpoints, the fast endpoints are the thing that are checking for, do I have a user in my HTTP context? If not, then send unauthorized back. And I do that for all of my methods.
Yeah.
and they have the authorized attribute on them. And yeah, so by the time it gets to the actual service method, I know that the user ID is not going to be null unless somehow this service is called from not the
I'd
API.
really like to have some kind of decorator saying, I promise that user is not null when we get here. As a decorator instead of having that encode.
There are.
Right?
There are.
I know that there's like a null exception dot
there's a whole bunch of other really cool ones. Yeah. So I don't know how I would use it here. I'd have to
since you want to return a message, then that's a bit different.
Well, like,
I guess,
for example, not null if, not null when, member not null when. So, for example, user ID will not be null when this is not null. Could be, I forget what that one is. But there are a whole bunch of these attributes that you can use on the actual properties themselves.
Okay.
There is
I did not know that.
Like, I think that there would be a way for me to specify it on, this is what we'll try. On the actual lab data service. No, one line says so.
But I guess the issue here is that you also want to return the response there. And this would just suppress it.
Yeah.
Can you do this dot user ID?
No, this already knows it's the user ID from base context.
Yeah, I was thinking about the, the error there.
It's not an error, it's a warning. I mean, a message.
Yeah.
But it can't be user ID because I think that one is specifically the
It says member though.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want
to mess with that for
But still, you want to return a message, and in that case, you can't do those really.
Let me see if I can find some usages of this. Okay, so here is one usage of it where was error is not null when error messages has a value. Or, sorry, error messages is not null when was error is true. I'm guaranteeing that. So that way, everywhere in code that I ask if this was error, if this response was error, then error messages will be populated.
Yeah.
But there's a really cool one that is used as an attribute, as a param attribute that I really liked. Yes. So here's a good one.
Not null if not null.
Yeah. So the return value will be not null if the passed in value is not null.
Oh,
so
otherwise it
really
so you're adding a constraint on that side. Nice.
I like that one a lot.
I was just thinking, like, if you could do that on members instead of, arguments, what would happen if you made a circular reference there?
Probably would break stuff. I don't know. Test it out and find out. Let us know.
No, I mean, you can't do that. No. Member not null when, and then...
Yeah, and member not null when is specifically the first parameter is a Boolean, and the second parameter is any number of other members.
Yeah. So that will just return false if...
Yeah, but there was a really cool one. And I think I got this when I was trying to mock something. Oh, yeah. I was trying to mock the dictionary.tryget, and that's when I learned about this. So this is the one that I love the most.
Maybe null when.
Maybe null when this returns false, but it's definitely not null when this returns true. and that is on my out parameter. So that's where I learned about this whole not null when null-y attribute. If you F12 on a dictionary try get.
So if you do try get whatever, then inside that it knows that the out parameter is not null.
Yeah. If the thing evaluates to true. But this is essentially saying that it's telling the compiler that this is potentially null when we return false, but it's not necessarily null.
Mm-hmm. But we guaranteeing that it's not null if we return true.
Right.
And yeah, Snobble in it. I mean, compare that to F sharp. How would you do that in F sharp? Just because I said that, I'm almost certain that there is an equal
that'd be hilarious.
thingy in F sharp, since I mean it's
F sharp doesn't do nulls, right?
Nulls. Oh.
So yeah, I mean, I would need to do a lot more research to know if the usage of maybe null when is actually needed, since I have the null indicator, the question mark on that try get method. It's probably implied that it will maybe null when we return false.
So I mean, then you also have the other side here with how much time do you want to spend just instructing your compiler. Yeah, when it doesn't do any changes to the resulting binary, it's just I'm gonna kill the warnings. So this is basically like a
I'm sure that there is
suppress for calling this method, right?
Well, potentially. There's also potentially a possibility that it's making the assignment of this value more efficient when you create the binary, when you create the assembly for this or whatever. Like maybe it turns it into two methods, one that is called when the parameter is null, or I don't know, when the output is going to be null, and then when the output is not going to be null. I don't know.
We have the it's called disassembling, decompile, uncompile, can't remember. Deassembly. Whatever. We have Foolish Noble in the chat. I think he can read IL.
Because writing non-type safe code is a nightmare, in my opinion, says President Not Sure. True. In my opinion as well. Why waste time on pipes? Just write code.
And then you add a language where you have implicit variables. So they're not just not typed, but also if you misspell something, then that's a brand new variable and no one tells you you're doing something wrong, except it doesn't work.
Is writing non-null safe a nightmare? No, not for me at least. As soon as they came out with the nullable attribute and the nullable enable on CS Proj for an entire project, it's been super duper easy. I have rarely ever encountered a null reference exception because my editor tells me this could be null here. So then I do a null check.
Yep. And if you want to get rid of the error, then just add a bang.
Yeah.
Or the warning.
But that's the same as not using the nullability up or...
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's an anti-pattern. But if you know that this will never be null and you don't want to spend the time and the energy to make the compiler understand that, then you can always add a bang, even though I really dislike it.
Yeah. And I rarely ever use the null forgiveness operator. I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I say that, and here's a null forgiveness operator in my actual service implementation.
Nice.
Oh, man. Which is going to be true. So the only reason that this GUID is null is so that I can have a nullable type in the database.
But if it's not set to anything, it's a new GUID. So to have that null, you have to explicitly set that to null.
Right.
Because even if it's not deserialized...
Maybe I can do it this way. The point of this was, in the database, I wanted to be able to have this column be nullable. So that I can provide a default value of new UUID, or whatever it's called. New UID.
Yep. Yeah, all right. And if you have it null and you deserialize it, it will deserialize it to null. If you don't have it in your data structure, I believe that it will create a new GUID.
Yeah, let's find out what happens when I do this.
Yeah, I think so, at least.
Well, the thing that I care more about is, what does the migration look like?
I still have my story about using GoTo in production code and getting yelled at by my boss.
GoTo.
And that was because of an entirely different ADI pattern that was being used, which kind of made me go to have an easy solution. We had a, I think, 6 or 7 layer nested loop.
This is Thindal. You can see his name at the top right. Top left of your
screen. Me, Thindal. Yeah, Katim, we're having a community day. So if you want to join, it's just in Discord, and if you don't want to join, that's fine as well.
Or you can talk directly in chat.
Oh yeah.
You don't have to use your voice. Ash. Abby Knight was like, can't you just do this using the configuration? Then yeah. I just didn't know if... Why are you all prefixed with system anyway? I didn't know if it would complain at me for having the property be non-nullable, but the database column nullable, so that I could default. Then I'm going to run into the issue where this is non-nullable, and if a record gets added to the database with a null value for that field, then I would get errors in my code suddenly. Like if I'm getting a list of all user templates, for example, and one of those user templates has a null value, the whole thing would explode.
Yeah. I get you.
So, still kind of...
I ran into that with Mongo, I believe, last week, where even though I set a default value, if it was missing in a model and it wasn't set to nullable, then it exploded. So if I had GUID here, exactly the way that you have, and GUID didn't exist in the model in the document, then kaplamo.
Yeah, and that would be the big issue. And it's like, I mean, this is... Pretty much all of the apps that I write are not intended for a user to go into the database and do anything manually in there.
No applications should be designed for that.
And the code that I write, except for RTrack that still needs a lot of conversions from the stored procedures, they do not use stored procedures to update records. So again, the database is not where the logic is for populating these records. It's my C# code. So do I even want these fields to be nullable in the database so that I can just default to new UID, new ID? I probably don't even want them to be nullable. I think it's where we're
I mean, when the system is completed, they should never be null, right?
Yeah.
And at the moment, if you have to go in and set the have to create the GUIDs directly in your database during dev, I'd say that that's fine.
Yeah, but I'm not even doing that.
No. Scott, you asked a question there that I'd also like the answer to. And also, it's one of those I would like to.
I started
but I
typing.
haven't
I'm
quite.
sorry. Let me push
Alright.
enter and then I'll say it out loud. So I did start using Fluent UI because I didn't want to, or I wanted to see if it is already better than my custom components.
Mm.
Where are you still doubled?
I'm
And
kind of
so
interested
I
in this sign language myself.
sign language.
Yeah, like the design.
Oh,
Right?
design. I heard sign
Yeah.
language.
No. This sign language, like Material or Bootstrap or whatever have you.
So like for this app, I started off with my a new template, a new Blazor web app template, and then I was like, I want to use this as a POC, so I want to sketch it out quickly. So let me just try adding fast endpoints. Or I said fast endpoints. Fluent UI. Let me just try adding Fluent UI so I can get a data grid for free. I can get my file input. I can get easy styling. And then I started trying to use it, and it took me forever just to get even the small modicum of data into a data grid in a way that was usable for me. So I was like, I'm just going to make a table. This is a POC. I'm just going to make a table. And then, of course, the rest of the Armit's apps currently use my component library. So it's going to be difficult for me to choose a different component library for a new functionality or feature for an existing app. Oh, is that a good answer? Did I answer?
I have a design question. If you have a large view using something like Material, right? You have a really large view, so you split it up into multiple, I don't know what to call them, boxes or panels or whatever. Does that make sense?
And one more time. I was typing a message.
If you have a large form, like it contains maybe not hundreds, but many tens of fields they can enter data into. So logically, you split this up into multiple of these boxes or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. Where do you put your save button?
In a dockable toolbar.
Dockable toolbar.
Good question. Sure, let's search for this. 000286868. No results. Son of a, it's not a real number. Water, give me a second, DFlux. Water level chart.
Loady.
Come on. Wow. Must be full from the Thanksgiving week celebration.
Everyone drank too much water.
Only 56 records. Okay, so many fields. Oh, this isn't even all of the fields. This isn't a very good document, but yes.
No, but I mean, this is
so
basically
group
the
together,
same because you have the top 4 there as one group, and then you have multiple groups. Yeah,
and my vision for this really was to either make it the left side tabular for each of these sections so that you can just click on a section and be jumped to it, because these forms can get pretty long. But here's my dockable toolbar with the save button, with the other record operations, the view record set.
And when you
button.
scroll down, that's fixed, or is it?
Yeah, it's fixed.
All right, so you have a toolbar on the page, right?
Yeah,
gotcha.
And I call it a dockable toolbar because if I set up the styles correctly, you can dock it to the right, you can dock it to the bottom, you can dock it to the left. You can make it floating so that you can drag it around and then pin it wherever you want it to be, kind of thing. Okay.
I had a
I'm pulling you into
design
the
language
now.
that I made myself, which was basically Bootstrap, but whatever. In the larger scheme of things, I had in the footer, I had save and cancel in the bottom center. I had create new in the bottom left and delete in the bottom right. So the footer always contained the
record operations.
The record operations, exactly. But that doesn't make sense when you do something, material-ish.
Right.
Yeah. But it was good because you always knew where, I want to create a new entry or I want to save something, and the button is always in the same place. But you can get that with the toolbar.
Here's an example of one of the things that I'm going to do with the imported data, and then on the right side, the preview output.
Hi, DFlux.
Sizable.
Yellow.
Purple.
Yellow.
Is my favorite color.
Awesome.
I'm purple.
No, he said yellow is his favorite color.
Maybe you said purple.
I said purple.
Thindal's favorite color is purple, if you can't tell from his logo.
My favorite color is...
Oh, also
Anyone?
purple.
Red.
Because you said purple.
I did say purple. And I use purple for everything Automated Realms because Automated Realms' logo color and stuff is purple. But my favorite color is red.
No, but can I call you out and ask you to send a screenshot of your editor, please? If you're here still.
Si puedes. But hi DFlux, how's it going? How you doing? Did you celebrate Thanksgiving? Is everything well?
I did indeed. Everything was very nice. We had a little family get together. How about yourselves? Celebrate Thanksgiving, Thindal? I know you probably didn't, because
I didn't.
terrible. You
I
did?
didn't.
You
No,
didn't?
I streamed instead. Well, at least Science was making us turkey, and I was streaming.
That's beautiful. I like that idea. That's good. I think I actually saw you streaming. I'm not sure if I actually had time to get into the chat, but I saw you stream a little bit.
Yeah, present, not sure. I was on for just over 2 hours. And I ended up, when I realized that my testing database was the production database, and if I was going to start doing inserts and updates, it might be a good idea to switch that over. I was only doing gets and showing things, that's fine. I mean, use production. Maybe don't use production, but it didn't hurt at least. But if I'm going to start running active tests, then yeah, maybe not.
I'm no expert, but that does sound correct.
Yeah. So last night, late in the evening, I was in Azure and I was switching around VNets and trying to give the app service access to my VNet with the virtual machine with the debug testing database in it. I'm like, why do I do this to myself? I could have just opened a port in the firewall. But that way lies attempts at accessing things people shouldn't be allowed to access. So instead I dealt with VNets. Because I had one set up already, because to access my internal production stuff and test stuff on Azure, I need to open a VPN gateway to get access to that VNet to be able to connect to the server.
Makes sense.
Yeah. If you want to ping server1.internal.seric.se, that will give you an IP address that will lead you absolutely nowhere. Because that's the internal IP number of the server on that VNet. So when I'm connected via the VPN, I can access it on that, but otherwise it's like a local IP. That's one way of doing it if you don't want to set up your own private DNS.
Why would it even have a default value? Thank you so much for the follow. Hi, TBD. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving if you celebrated it.
Hello, TBD. Yeah, exactly, Snobel. That's what happens.
So
So yes, server1.internal.seric.se resolves to 192.168.1284, which is not an external IP.
Gabriel asked a question, and I'm going to say something about it real quick, and then I'll ask for your guys' input.
Yeah.
But Gabriel asked, what if you worked for a company and your home project matched the use case? How much would that get you? So my recommendation or my suggestion, which is a do as I say, not as I do, is to not mix your personal projects, product stuff with your work stuff, depending on how your contract is worded. So anything that you use in a work product that was created by you could then become the property of the company. And 2, anything that you create while you are working for a company on company time is property of the company.
Yeah.
So
technically, I think all company resources also legally becomes the company's property. So if you use your company laptop or whatever, you are technically screwed when it comes to who owns what.
And whatever data you put on that laptop too.
Yeah. And the big question then is, what happens if you develop something using your know-how of the problem or the domain issue that your company has?
Exactly.
Is that then your company's property or not? And in general, I would say yes, but I would also say don't open that can of worms. Stay away, unless you're like, yeah, I will do this for the company, then I mean that's fine, but don't try to sell that to you, the company you work at, or build it, quit your job and then sell it, because that's also, yeah, if they can come back and say you did this while you were working for us, then you might end up in court. Oh yeah, Snobble, it's way easier here in Sweden. I'm talking about like the US and other places in the world.
Oh, no, you're okay, Gabriel.
More...
Definitely didn't take that as shady.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we were just giving advice and opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it as shady either. It's just, that's my answer. Be careful, because your employer may decide to put you up against the wall and like, you did this to do things that you do at work, so it's now ours.
Right. And so like there's
specific about this.
Yeah. There's specific verbiage, like when I went to work with Sajetti, so TBD brought up the non-compete thing. One of the things was any not workflow, methodology that you create while working on a client product is property of Sajetti.
Yeah.
So methodology, again, is an idea that once you implement that idea, that becomes a methodology that you are using to solve a problem. And so if you try using that exact same methodology, say you have a certain pattern that you developed and started using and you hadn't used before being employed by a certain company, then if you use that after working with them, then you are in violation of that verbiage.
Yeah. I wonder what happens if you release something while you're working there, you release something as open source.
Which is what I do all the time.
Yeah.
Working with
and then
Navarro,
you use that.
But I've checked with them.
Yeah. All right.
This is common knowledge? No, I learned it from working with Sajetti.
Yeah.
And then needing to know the verbiage in the contract for having a contract with Navarro where any open source products that I create, even while I'm on the clock, are my IP, which are open sourced when they are open source. But I will not charge Navarro for using those.
No.
Even if I ever make them paid.
If you ever change them to paid or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They still have a perpetual license for them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you have that kind of setup with your company.
Yeah. No, also, Gabriel, I'm not sure if all that we're talking about is common knowledge as such, but it's something that you have to think about once you're, once you're getting close to that part of the world, right? Not sure if that's a good way of saying it. Be careful. Also, I am not a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. None of us are.
Also very important to say.
Do not take these as legal advice. They are opinions of developers who have encountered situations, or just opinions in general.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know what's going on with my hiccup burps. How do I stop it from ringing without pushing the hang up button?
If you work on certain open source project, it could be used to terminate the company's patents. I'm not sure if I follow.
I mean,
Ericsson, all Linux contributions had to follow the copyright lawyers' contributions to, for example, F# is problematic. So if you made a contribution to the kernel and Ericsson uses Linux, aka the kernel, that could be an issue legally for the company. Is that what you meant, Snovel? And the reason that contributions to F# is problematic is because no one uses F# then? Shots fired. But kind of what he just said, right? I think... But how would that invalidate their patents? Can't quite see how. Do you have any ideas, Lion?
If I thought about it hard enough, then yes, because the creator of the product could say, my open source software license says this, and I created it before the patent was filed, and therefore I own the copyright to the code, or the material of the code, because like the idea of the code doesn't matter. It's when it's turned into an actual asset, or something. So
of course. Now we also have things like it's called sticky licenses, or they're what's it called when something transfers between different people or species or whatever. It's transmittable. Like I think GPL is one of those. Like you're using GPL, so you have to be on GPL as well. Yeah, viral. Copyleft. Yeah.
Is it really?
So you're using something under this license, so you have to also release your stuff under this license.
It just sounds GPL? Like a negative connotation if you use the term viral. This is a viral license.
I see it as mostly negative, especially when it's good things that are released under it, and you can't use the good things because then it won't fit your license model and or your company's business model. My favorite license is MIT.
MIT.
That's so easy.
MIT.
And it's easy to read and understand. Here is stuff. Do whatever you want. If it explodes, it's on you. No, MIT is do whatever you want. You're not allowed to steal the attribution and release the source as your own. You're allowed to release the source as part of something else and whatever, and you don't have to put an attribution or anything in the binary. Yeah, exactly. It's just hold me responsible. You don't hold me responsible.
My Thanksgiving was good. TBD.
There's also another one. I think the Apache license is almost the same. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Not sure about the details, but I think the difference there is attribution, right? I could be wrong there. There's also one of those don't sue me licenses. All right, yeah. But you have to attribute the code in the binary. I don't think that's how you say attribute.
I think so. I really don't know how it's pronounced when it's used as a verb. Attribute might be the pronunciation. Give it attribution. How about that? Just say it that way.
Yeah, that's that's simpler. Yeah. I mean, in the binary, as in the license terms or whatever, where the end user can read it somehow. It's like if you have the Stack Overflow license where you have to put a comment in the code saying that you found the code at this URL, aka Stack Overflow URL, but you don't have to show the end user anything or tell anyone that you're using code from Stack Overflow outside of your source code. Is it viral though? Don't you just have to include that in your methods, but the method using those methods don't need to have that? Yeah, present not sure. You're always allowed to give attribution to others. Oh, right. Well, if you change Stack Overflow code, you have to release that, right? But if you use it, you just have to have a attribution in your source code. Actually, I mean, it's really good that we have Snobble here because I'm not sure if you've ever seen any of his shaders, but he's really good at documenting where he found code.
Yeah.
All right, Snobber. So in that case, I mean, none of us could use Stack Overflow code for anything. If it means that our code must be shared under the same license, then that's the whole viral license thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness that comes into play when you go too granular. It's like if you use any portion of that code which someone else might have used in their answer to you, then suddenly your license must change.
Yeah. And that's a GPL thing. You used open source, now you must release your product as open source. Yeah, fair use is American only. And you also have, I mean, the entire fair use thing is also very fuzzy. What's fair use and what isn't 100% like legally defined. It's always yeah, you used a bit too much of this, or used little enough of this, or whatever. You can end up in court. Huh?
So you're a bit too fair.
Yeah. If you're not careful, you can end up as Google in court versus Oracle, I believe, that brought the whole thing in front of a judge because you used, well, it's like 20 lines of the Java original implementation in your copy of it to Android. Does that make sense, what I just said?
If you're asking me, then my answer is I have no idea because I'm trying to read through the comments and my ears aren't currently working when I'm trying to read.
Do you all remember the huge suit of Google and where Oracle sued Google for using Java as the language in Android development?
No, I don't, because I don't keep up with things like that.
Was this the FAT32 lawsuit or something different?
Must be something different. Because I don't think, I mean, FAT32 is a file system, right?
Right, Microsoft sued Google for basically not using it on Android and not paying them for every Android sale.
Oh, no, this was Oracle with Java. And Google was saying that their entire implementation was their own. It's just the language was Java because it looked like Java, but technically it was their own language because they re-implemented everything. And Oracle was like, literally, look, here are 30 lines of code that are exactly the same. They must have copied it, so we want $5 billion.
Makes sense. Yep. I would ask the same thing.
Oh yeah.
But I got like more
Almost like
$5, maybe $6 billion myself. But...
Yeah, absolutely.
To Snobble, I'm pretty sure that the AI generated content not being copyrightable isn't an arguable thing. I think it is how it is. There is no laws or guards in place to allow you to copyright AI generated content. The thing that you can copyright is AI generated content with sufficient human input or sufficient human contribution to it. I forget what the term is.
There was a whole thing when GitHub Copilot released, and I don't know where it ended up, but it was some developer who'd put like very specific code on GitHub. It turns out like his code was the only one that solved this exact problem. And he started writing exactly his own code again, and it auto-completed for him into almost his own code, because it had actually moved like a loop a bit and a variable definition to closer where it was used and whatever. But it was basically his code. And the whole issue then is this a copy one-to-one from his stuff, because his code was the only one.
Yeah, there's a lot of really, really bad verbiage from companies that use the open internet is what they use to train their models on. And that's like, what exactly does that mean? That means you went on to some search engine and said, give me, or you went to a Wayback Machine and you said, give me all of the information and let's train models on this. Not anyway, Snubble. This is a valid.
It's interesting
Conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to your friendly lawyer. It's always a good idea, but we can always discuss it.
Yeah. We can have opinions as much as we want. We aren't necessarily going to be right
every time.
Yeah.
Just often.
Just most of
John.
the time. There's John Games. Didn't mean to send. That's okay. You can go back to lurking. We'll act like you weren't here.
You're here, and I'm happy to see you. And yeah.
I was typing vomit, but decided against it. No, I bet you were giving some good information about the reasons that you don't like the use of AI in general, or the way that AI was starting to use. You have really good points. You've mentioned them on your stream. Check out his stream, by the way, because it's not opt-in. Absolutely. And I agree with all of those points. So
absolutely. And that's some people will call this swearing, but that's actually something good that X just did. They did a bad thing, but they very clearly stated in their terms of service now that they are doing a bad thing, right? They're saying now from last week, I believe, that we are allowed to use all your material and everything you've posted here to train our AI models. The big problem was it's an entire Unity thing as well, where, plus it applies retroactively. But they're at least saying that they're using the data to train their models. But that's also why everyone went, screw you guys, I'm moving to Blue Sky overnight. Again.
Yeah.
The amount of Blue Sky people just exploded overnight there. John, BitGame's new emotes are awesome.
Some of the things that we could do going forward, like, again, I'm not a decision maker and I have no idea how to tell the right people or find the right people for this, nor do I have the energy to put in. No, I have the energy, nor do I have the desire to look for those people. But one of the things that we could do going forward, since the genie is out of the bottle, is put in verbiage into actual law that is no human generated content, which again, do it in lawyer speak so that it also covers stuff that was trained on human generated content before this went into place. No human generated content can be used in training AI models unless explicitly opted in by the creator of that work.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
As of a certain day, the way that you show that is by in your files or in whatever, here is the attribution, here is the license that the creator of that work gives. Anything created before this date is forgivable. Anything created after must have that attribution if it is AI generated.
I'd say that that's okay as well, because I dislike retroactive anything. Like, even if it's a moral and legal gray area right now, we set the law at this date, and from this date, it's you need to follow the law, right?
Yeah, so right now, Reg, what we're talking about is just putting the law in place for that. The upholding the law part of it is different. That's a whole judicial, here's how you do hearings, here's how you do remediation, all of it.
But then I mean, if we look at the more not sinister, less sinister side of things, captchas has been used to train AI forever. I mean, you don't think that those select all images that contains street lights were used for other things than just making sure you were human, right? It's all crowdsourcing.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but
that one I don't know about.
Yeah. It's used by AI companies to do image recognition, to train their systems on it. So basically, it was crowdsourced. The first couple of times that this image was shown, it's like, I don't know, it's just an image. But then people started saying, oh, this is a street sign. So they can check, is this a street sign? If you don't agree, you're not a human. But they also know now that that's what's in the picture. May I send a link to Snobel's UI?
Yeah, you can. You absolutely can.
Have a look at that.
I'm gonna open it on a different screen first, and then
yes, do that. Since your favorite color was red.
Yes. Oh man, that's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
Nice.
I could never work that way.
I don't think I'd be able to work like this either. I definitely do prefer the neutral tones when I am doing work, but as far as appeal, I mean, it's a really good color. TVD is like, DFlux, you okay? You sound like you lack energy today.
I'm fine.
You sound a little nasally.
I think I'm fine. I hope I'm fine. Maybe I'm a little nasally.
I hope I'm not taking over too much.
Oh no, I'm like, I've been leaning on our community day voice stream guests because I'm not getting very much done, but I am still doing some things in the project because
and we're having a good time, and we're talking about okay, maybe the lawyer stuff isn't the most fun topic, but we're having a discussion at least.
Yeah, we're still discussing
I was
things
thinking
with
of streaming
everyone
today. But
everyone's engaged.
Yeah, I had stuff to do, so I was thinking of doing it online and streaming it, but I decided against it because I want to be here instead.
That's
which is awesome.
You could do both. You could go live streaming on One Lions Community Day.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely be open to trying collabs on Community Day.
You use the knock feature, whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that voice only though?
I have no idea. I don't know how it works.
I have no idea how
Irish
that even
John
works.
knows how it works. He's done it
was...
like 16 times now.
There you go. I thought it was just like a thing that just displays the other streamer's name on Twitch so people know you're working together.
Oh, which is kind of what I'm doing up there.
I think you actually think that you're actually able to like co-stream or have someone, show up
Yeah.
with voice. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could. I mean, I'm sure there is, but we probably wouldn't need that, right?
mhm.
It kind of seems like it's the guest star function that they tried to implement that maybe not enough people use, so they turn it into the knock collab function.
Yeah.
Synthwave VS.
I'm gonna try.
That sounds
thing
awesome.
here.
I want a vaporwave theme. I gotta know if there is one.
I don't think you have that activated, no. Because I just logged in Chrome, which I think is the only browser that it works on.
I do have it. However, my settings are set to what are my settings set to? It's right here. Collab settings are favorites and partners. Actually, no. Just partners, because I don't have any favorites.
All right. You don't like me. Yes, you do.
It's not that. It's that I'm
No, I know.
I'm me. I don't even know how to check to see if I have favorites. Oh, wait, I do have favorites.
So I think
I
you can
do have
open it
favorites.
and invite guests.
Yeah, could definitely do that. I'm adding
Do you
you
wanna
to
try
my
it?
favorites. Well, again, I still want to try to get this work done, but it is community day, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of opting
Being
in
communal.
when I do community day. Yeah, being communal. I'm the communal chamber pot.
So I sent a request to you.
And I clicked on accept, get started. So yeah, this looks like the guest. It is guest star, actually. It even gives you the guest star backstage dashboard.
Huh.
See here. If I pick this.
Wow.
What exactly is this app anyway? Handling RMAs. So RMA in the context of the stream is the Rocky Mountain Arsenal, which is now the Rocky Mountain National Wildlife Refuge, not return manufacturer, whatever the A stands for in that.
I'm trying to set things up on this side.
Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to work with OBS also running.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Because that might have your voice come through duplicate if you're speaking in OBS and through.
I can hear you through my browser now as well, though.
Authorizations, thank you.
Anyways, I mean, I think you can like add my image and stuff, but whatever. I don't think I'm gonna use this.
I
Are
see
you
it
guys-
now on Twitch. I see the change streaming together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you guys actually hearing duplicates on the stream? Those of you that are listening through Twitch. When
Yeah, but I
Thindal
mean,
speaks?
I can hear you through the stream together UI here.
I just hear Discord. That's it. Not here too.
I'm gonna jump out of this and
Okay.
stream together.
Thank you for
There.
pushing the button though and seeing it.
Can always
Well,
try
thank
it.
you guys for letting me know.
Concluded.
Say again, DFlux.
Said science experiment concluded.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Deal.
considering or not considering, since I started thinking about a thing now because of your
Did it
stream
hurt?
elements announced there. Anna's duck thing, holy crap, that scared the life out of me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah. I had my headset on me, but I actually left the computer to go to the toilet.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, like 15,000 ducks just started
Yeah.
screaming in my ears.
Was it a glitch while she was changing the bot, or purposeful?
I think she got like a bug or something while like adding a sound alert, and I think she got the sleep wrong
It
or
looked like-
something, so it just spammed a ton of times at once.
That's funny. And Instafluff has a swan over his shoulder. Or a duck. I don't know. Could be just a duck. TBD says, so I spend my weeks working on deployment of Liquid Sky and actually get it working while watching Community Day rather than streaming it. That's sad. Oh,
Do you want to
got
let
a
us in, please? Perhaps, maybe? TBD?
Yeah.
Beta testing and everything?
not yet. Not yet.
It wasn't a bug, it was Duka saying to double the ducks. Liquid Sky. Yeah, exactly,
Help
TBD.
us. I don't want this to be super duper loud. Can we hear?
Quack, 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 a new ducky in the pond. Quack, 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 a new ducky in the pond.
That's what I heard.
Quack, 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 a new ducky in the
And
pond.
you guys didn't hear it on
Quack,
Discord.
quack, quack, a new ducky
No,
in the
but
pond.
I'm guessing they
Quack,
heard
quack,
it.
quack, a new ducky in the pond.
They're still
Quack,
here.
quack, quack, a new ducky in the pond. Quack, 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 a new
Yeah,
I even
ducky in the
turned it
on-stream
down
they
to
heard it.
half volume,
Quack,
man.
quack, a new ducky in the pond.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Quack, 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 a new ducky in the pond.
Yeah, okay,
Quack,
good.
quack,
Yeah,
quack, a
just
new ducky in
shush.
the...
Speaker about shush.
Good job, Duka.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of keeping my headset on while stepping away, I'm going to do that now. And you guys can keep talking.
All right.
And no one
Good
will
idea.
explode.
Bye-bye.
Someone posted
So,
to the
parent
Blazor
is gone. Let's wreck it.
Yeah. No, someone posted to the Reddit about hosting Blazor, and I made a comment about how versatile Blazor is. You can put it on Linux or Windows or whatever. I'm like, I've never actually gone to like a budget provider that has like the $2 a month Ubuntu whatever, and actually like deployed a Blazor app and see how well it actually runs. So that's what I'm currently doing. I got a $2 web host, and I'm running Blazor on it. The Blazor web app.
Well,
And
if it's
seeing
a WebAssembly
how-
app, then it's just...
No, it's
Static
the
file.
web app. It's not the
All
the
right.
full web
Oh,
app.
so you're running
thing.
both server and then hand over to client.
Yep.
Yeah. From my understanding, and don't quote me on this, because I've been a proponent first of always using WebAssembly and now using Auto, that server is fairly heavy on memory. Not so much compute, but memory usage, because it keeps every session for everyone that's connected in
Right.
memory on the server, right?
Right.
And I think it
stumbled
takes something like 10 minutes before it starts releasing it.
on one of I don't actually remember where on Discord I saw it, because I got a little notification on my phone. I clicked it and then it disappeared. But there was a cool article put out by this guy. I'm gonna post it in chat so everyone can see it. That reviewed running 1 million concurrent tasks on the different platforms, and they actually compare C#, and they also compare AOT with C# and Rust and Java and blah 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 blah, and it shows how massive of a performance gain it is to use native AOT versus the JIT with C#.
Oh yeah.
Even like startup wise, from the memory perspective, it like outperforms Rust and outperforms Go.
Yeah. Now C# with AOT is insane, and you know that you can AOT compile your Blazor stuff as well, right?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. That's why I mentioned it.
All right.
Because
Yeah,
they have
all right.
10K tasks, and then they have I gotta do the math in my head. Hold on. What is 10,000 kilobytes to megabytes?
About 10.
Is that right?
Yeah. A megabyte is 1,000
Yeah.
kilobytes.
So
So,
it's
give or
running So in this example, he's running 10,000 tasks in native AOT, and it's using 10 megabytes of RAM. So like my $2 host has a gigabyte of RAM, right? Obviously Linux takes up a good amount of that. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to see how far I could push like this $2 a month Linux host, how much it could actually do.
Yeah, probably quite a lot.
Using that native IoT.
Yeah. No, that's just your limit, Snobble. Not the limit. No, but yeah, the issue that, as I see it, is, you know, if you start building an actual larger application and you start having, you know, big states, and the server has to keep everyone's state in memory for
that's the Swiss knife that is Blazor web app, right? Because I can say, let's put all these components on this logic, let's put that on the client side, right? Let's just put the landing page and a couple forms on the server side.
Yeah, and is it really the state that is the issue that does the memory? Because that's kind of like just a regular ASP.NET web page or web app that has state as well. So it's more like the user UI and connection.
Yeah, but I think a web app is stateless. I mean, it's the state, if you have any, is on the client. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just pages that gets delivered. And even web forms was, you had the view state, which contained the entire state of the application. So that was always handled by the client and then sent back to the server to restore it.
I didn't know that was handled by the client.
But and ASP.NET MVC and Razor pages and everything, that's just, here is stuff. You could always put stuff in the session, but that was to keep your state as such, as more saving things between calls, and you basically, you always knew that you should use that sparingly. Or at least I knew. I are as smart as I knew things.
I didn't.
Did not mean it like that.
I was saying I always thought the state when we were talking about that in the CPU cases is because basically on Blazor server it's like rendering the page on the server and then working out what's different and then sending it back, right? That's what takes up the performance.
Yes, it keeps the entire render tree around on the server in memory.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so even with 1 million tasks is using basically 203 megabytes of memory to run it concurrently together.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
In AOT. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. But that's just the code, right?
Well, yeah, that's just the code. It's just doing a benchmark. But that's like in comparison to Go, for the same thing, is using 2.6 gigs of memory.
Yeah, don't tell that to a Go developer though.
Which is over 13 times more.
Yeah. Hey, look at Java.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah, look at Java.
Yeah.
Not doing so well over there.
No. But as we all know, Rust is better than C#, right? They keep saying that, at least.
Well, if you look at the minimum footprint for native AOT, they're neck and neck. 10K tasks, they're neck and neck. 100K tasks, neck and neck. And then 1 million tasks, native AOT outperforms Rust.
Yeah.
In this benchmark.
I'd say that Rust outperforms on 10K tasks as well. It's neck and neck on 10K Rust wins, and then 100K and 1 million C# wins.
Yep.
Is how I'm reading the graph, at least. And then you have memory. Oh yeah, that was like the execution time, right? No, that was also memory. Is this the same graph again?
At the bottom, he just puts all the graphs together at the bottom, so you have like them together.
Yeah. But then you have the next thing, you know, but you wrote it badly in my language, and you could have done it better here, and you could have saved half a byte here. And if you want to talk about saving half a byte, you can always talk to Snobble, but Yeah. So no one is going to say that anything like this is always correct. But yes, what TBD said, if you like Rust, use Rust. If you like C#, use C#. If you like BF, don't use BF. Because no one else will ever be able to read your code.
Good point.
I don't like my development environment rusty, Snobble.
Oh. What was the if you listen to Primogen in response to? Do you know? Rust in general? I don't really know the Primogen, so
I've pretty much only seen him on YouTube. Basically him and Pirate Software, that's, the top dev streamers overall, right? I'm not sure how
believe
much
you.
dev either of them do these days.
I believe it. Okay, so if no matching files, that's not an error. We don't care.
I'm gonna do another one for President Not Sure there. Don't quote me on this. I agree, TBD. I agree.
When you respond to them, no one knows what you're saying because I'm looking.
Life is too short. Life is too short for arguing over mine is better than yours.
Oh yeah.
I agree with that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can have opinions, and I can absolutely say that Perl is a read-only language, right? Or sorry, a write-only language. See, I even get it messed up. That doesn't mean that you're wrong for using Perl. Even though I would choose it because I have issues with it. Same thing with PHP. I mean, I don't like PHP, and I can tell you why. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad language and you should not use it. Except for BF. BF is a bad language.
I could say that exact phrase out loud, that PHP is a terrible language and you should never use it, but it's still just going to be my opinion and not necessarily correct.
Yeah.
I could say it. I won't.
Yeah, President, absolutely. But it was just extremely complicated to understand what was going on. It made complete sense as you were writing it. Then you went to lunch, came back an hour later, and you had to start over because you were just looking at random regexes. But yeah.
Right.
Or maybe that was just my own code. But I mean, we're talking about a language which in the late 90s, early 2000s, parsed this is small maybe, but a 9,000 rows text file, like a CSV, and spit out a layout containing the correct values for that page. So it parsed it, it searched it, and it spit out the page being built by those values in like under a second. Back then, it is fast for what it did. It's really fast for what it did. Or does, That doesn't mean that I like it. I especially didn't like it since my coding environment back then was Notepad, which might also influence my dislike for the language. I was on the server, writing the code in Notepad. Them's the days.
I miss that.
Yeah.
I
don't.
really do.
I remember it.
I remember it, and
right.
I remember it painfully. Like, I didn't understand it at all. I was just completely baffled.
Mm-hmm. When I started doing C, I did it with Pico, I think. Pico or Nano on Linux using Telnet.
Oh, and I guess the rest of my thought, because I trailed off, was that I find myself writing a lot of code in just writing a lot of C# in just Notepad, or even like ChatGPT and Gemini and whatever else. Like I'll write the code out by hand without IntelliSense or anything. I guess Notepad++ you do still get recommendation as you're typing.
I
just find that to be
my
very fun.
development knowledge has gone backwards, unfortunately. I'm not sure if I could write good C# at least using only Notepad these days without any help from the IDE. I use Tab too much to just accept the suggestion, which feels a little bit sad. I could still
I
write
use
C++,
Tab all
I
the
think.
time, but I review just about everything that I tab out, at least.
Oh yeah, but you know, remembering that, oh, this is how to follow this, and these are the methods on this, on like a string, for example, exactly what they are and what the casing is, and is substring with an uppercase or lowercase string, like the word string in the function, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. C was easier because all methods were just lowercase. By the way, method or function?
It depends. So a method doesn't have a return. A function is a method that has a return. So all functions are methods, not all methods are functions.
Okay.
How's that?
Yeah. I'll just say yes to everything. Because opinions. The thing is,
I don't know that was an opinion. I
everything...
think that was a textbook explanation.
Okay.
Ooh,
for me, everything
Ryan's pulling
used
out
to be functions.
authoritative words now.
Yeah. Back when I started
that's
out,
in a textbook.
everything used to be functions for me, but then somewhere along the way I started saying method, and I don't know the difference or why. It's just, I use them interchangeably.
Yeah, subs are methods in VB/VBA, and functions are functions in VBA. I don't know where I read that from. It might have been from school a long time ago, so it may be out of date.
And in JavaScript, everything is a function.
Set of instructions that are associated with an object versus a set of instructions that perform a task.
Okay.
In JavaScript.
But they're both, the syntax for both is function.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which doesn't really help.
Yeah, exactly. So TBD Gamer is saying by these two definitions in JavaScript, every function is a method, but not every method is a function.
What's it called in Lisp, though?
Did I say that backwards?
All methods are functions, but
yeah.
not all functions are methods. Yeah.
Hi again.
Has anyone in chat or in voice coded Lisp? I tried it and decided no, and then stepped back from it carefully. You know what it looks like, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
It's basically, if you use your yearly allotment of parentheses, you're coding in Lisp.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like,
is that
parentheses nested in parentheses nested in parentheses. Imagine a function, basically it's like an assembly where you have a function or a method or an action that takes two values, but you don't really save a value inside of a variable. You just nest it and nest it and nest it and nest it until we get an output.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to do it. That's like when you see like a C# code and it's just like endless if inside an if inside an if inside an if.
Pretty much. Only that's the entire language.
Intense.
But it works, and I'm not sure where, but I'm 100% certain it has a use somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
I think it's very
Somewhere.
mathematical.
Like bacon, for example. Kind of bacon.
Yeah, that has no use anywhere. I built it. I can freely admit that that is 100% useless.
I think we can all agree that Excel is still the best database. Says Avidus. I agree with that.
I'll allow it.
Clojure is still popular. Which one is Lisp? And you were answering that. Lua. But yeah, so we're getting close to the end of the community day part of the stream. I am going to restart the stream after this for my regular workday stuff, and we can still continue conversations and chat from there, but I'll be focused on doing my job because you know I wasn't doing that this whole time.
You'll try getting paid.
That.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm only gonna bill for pretty much a quarter of the time. So like, I don't know, 30 minutes for the time that we're doing this. So
Don't you have, we call it whole days here, where like if a Thursday is a bank holiday, then Friday is off as well?
most likely, but my company, they're jerks. They make me work whenever. Or actually, what I should say is what I really feel about it. My company allows me to take the days off that I feel like taking off, and they don't dictate to me what days I am taking off.
Yeah. And yeah, Reg, it's the same here. I mean, it's employer dependent. Different employers do it differently, but pretty much everyone does it. So it's either full day off or half a day off. But yeah.
I love
Your
President's
employer
Days.
doesn't care as long as you get the job done and you choose to work today. Is that about right, Lion?
Say again?
Your employer doesn't care a lot about when you work as long as you get the task done and you choose to work today. Am I wrong in that?
You are not wrong. My employer is me, though. Just keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah. But your customer then doesn't care about, you being available at specific hours every day. I mean, you have meetings.
Yeah, I mean, still have core
But
availability. So if they call me during core work hours, then I told them that I will answer during those times, even if I'm not billing for that time currently. I will bill for however long the call is to the nearest 15 minutes. But yeah. So still available for the customer during core business hours, and I work whatever hours I want.
Yeah, and same thing here. Hey, they can call me on a Saturday. I'll still answer. They might need to call twice.
No,
But,
I won't.
yeah.
That's not core business hours.
My
Not for me.
customers know, and they on off time I will bill them the first second. From the first second that they call, and I have an hour minimum, so
We have 15-minute because these guys are awesome. And they don't abuse me in terrible ways. So,
well, that's awesome.
But it's time for stand up. So we'll start with you, Thindal.
All right. I had a great week, got tons done. I was planning on getting more done today. I didn't, but I'll be doing it tomorrow. And that will be setting up the test database, which I'll do tonight actually off stream, and then testing the payment system. No blockers and good progress.
Awesome. And DFlux?
I've also had a pretty productive learning week. I've been learning all sorts of things, working on a bunch of different side projects, which has been fun. No blockers, just going great, chugging along. Very happy, so I can't complain.
Awesome. And my stand-up is during the community day. I reviewed the tests that I'm writing for the new methods, and fixed them up, and now I started running the new methods. So that's what we're going to do later on today with no blockers. All right, and then we got some stand-ups from chat, actually. So President Nacho was like, my stand-up for today, I attend a community day, no work, no blockers. Yes. And TBD says,
I like.
just got Liquid Sky working on Kubernetes, tidying things up, but about to start getting ready for Turkey Day Part 2, aka Friendsgiving, will resume deployment fun on Monday. Awesome.
I like that saying, or
Monday
calling
Day?
it that, Friendsgiving.
Oh.
Yeah. No. Anyways, it's been great as usual.
Yes.
And I
You
hope
guys
you'll
are
all have a
amazing.
wonderful day, and I will be back as soon as you start streaming again.
Cool.
I
Which
might
will
be
be
lurking and
5-minute
doing
break.
things, but yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
See you soon, guys. Take
Yep.
care. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, so I'm going to go to this screen, but as mentioned, I will be restarting the stream for a regular workday stream. I like to stop community days so that I don't have to do any video editing to break them up into the correct playlist and videos and all that stuff. So as soon as I set up the next stream, I will start it up with a 5-minute countdown timer, and we'll do some workday stuff for the next 3 hours, maybe. We'll see how long we go. All right, so that's it for me for now. Ciao. If you feel like coming back and hanging about, I'll start the stream back up. If not, enjoy the rest of your day, have a great weekend, and see you the next time you're around. This is 240 hertz. Know how I know? Yeah, totally okay, TBD. No obligations. I really don't want you to feel like you have to anything ever. Bye and hi, says God. Okay, ciao.